Welcome to Dark Matters. So we have Robin Hood with us today for a no-holds-barred update on the Grimsby case, the paperwork, the indictments and how we move forward. So we're not here to beg for justice in a corrupt bar court. As we've said, we are here to call out their jurisdiction to expose the fraud. No oaths, no bonds, no lawful standing, just a private corporation masquerading as a court of law, backed by police and propped up by silence. So above their buildings, the fake Union Jack, not the people's flag, but the commercial war flag of a bankrupt state. And don't be fooled by the St. George cross either. That isn't for the people. It's a Roman emblem of conquest. St. George didn't slay the dragon, he became it. That dragon is the spirit of Albion, our spirit, the land, the people, and it's time she roared back. So the system is collapsing under its own weight of deceit. We're not subjects, we are not property, we are the living. And here's Robin to give us a no-holds-bar update, as we've said. Robin, are you there?
I'm here, and thank you very much for having me back.
You're very welcome. So where are we up to?
Right, well, obviously I've been doing a lot of work on the case. People will be glad to know I've emailed on Monday all 7 departments, i.e. the international courts for illegal conversion and breach of the human rights. I've also issued against the Supreme Court, High Court, Royal Courts of Justice, Chancery Division, also the Admiralty Court. I've also issued to the Grimsby Court and the council and everywhere else that it needed to go to. So that's phase 1, completed Monday. On Thursday, we complete phase 2, which they will get now hand-delivered to them by Royal Mail, special delivery, the entire case file, as well as now 2 void orders. We've done one. The one that we've sent you, Carly, I'd like you to read out shortly. And this, guys, is the crux of it. And let me just tell you, this is it's fabulous in its simplicity. Okay? We've all been looking for how, why, and what they've done. We've not looked. I've always been looking at the low-hanging fruit, as everybody knows, right? Now, very simply, we've done it. It's a joke now. We are of the land. The council, the court, the parliament, the courts are of the sea. Even Charles III is of the sea. He is only king of the personnums. He's not king of the people, as to the own statement in the London Gazette at his coronation. That's why they changed the coronation oath. That's why they will not accept the Bill of Rights, the Magna Charta. This is why they tell you that they can repeal the Magna Charta and they have sovereignty. No, they do not. Parliament does not hold sovereignty. It never has. It now holds sovereignty of water. All acts and statutes are for the people of the water, i.e. legal fictions, corporations. Now, what you've got to understand is there's 2 superior laws to that, and that's just natural, that's God's law, they can't beat that, right? And then you've got natural common law, they can't beat that either. Yeah. Right, all this where you get all these muppets saying, oh no, statutes over common law. I'm afraid not. Common law is law of the land. Statutory or legislation is law for corporations, the law of the sea. The Vatican law Holy See, S-E-E, and again S-E-A, law of the sea. Okay, these were all fetched in and started in 1707. The commercial entities known as the Act of Union. Now, some people argue that the Act of Union was given the seal of royal assent in 1706. And I will point out the obvious. How can you give something a royal seal in 1706 before it's completed in 1707? Can't happen. Because as soon as that came into force by the Merchants' Parliament, the law of the sea, the Queen has then had to be removed because she came into corporation, nothing more. And ever since then, we've had corporate rule. And what they've done is slowly but surely, and it's in the void order, is move everything onto C, corporate. And this is the deception of it all. Now, I know a lot of people are going to go, what is he talking about, Lord of the Sea? Basically, the Lord of the Sea is corporation. It's the vessel doctrine, okay? Now, if you understand that your driving licence is not you, it's a legal fiction created by your birth certificate, it's called a personam. They also created a quasim, or quasi, which is us, again, a trust vessel from the trust that was set up. And it's not a trust, it's an insurance bond, which is supposed to pay all your bills, all your duties and liabilities for life. So you don't pay tax, you don't pay national insurance, you pay nothing. It's a con, it's a fraud. And what's happened now is that every corporation in England is now under the United Kingdom Corporation of the Sea. Corporate law, statutory law in breach of God's law, just natural lex ex, and it's spelled, I forgot what it is now, affinem, which means that God's law is above all man-made acts and statutes, okay? Then you've got common law, okay, which is very simple to understand. Right, the common law maxim still in force today, right, is unbelievable. And what we've all done, right, is forgotten them. So when you tell you that these are common law maxims that they can't dispute, they can't deny, right? You're not dead lost at sea, you're not this, that, or the other. Now, a legal fiction, that's your photographing your driving license, passport, or whatever, is bound by legislation and statutory duty. Man is not. A legal fiction is wrongful when it works loss or injury against man. So what do you think the council are doing? Right, when you get your summonses from the police force, a licensed police force in criminality, right, because it's now a legal fiction. Every police officer is a legal fiction. It's a trademark. Okay, it's under license. Corporations, being legal fictions, do not work loss injury to any man. It is the man, often in the name of a legal fiction, who works loss or injury to man. That removes the corporate veil. Legal fiction is legal fraud. Got them straight away, they're in fraud. Right, I'm going to give you some absolutely fabulous case law in a minute that one of the young ladies has found today. But I'm just going to fetch up this in for a laugh, right? A claim made in the name of a fictitious plaintiff, council corporation, is a contempt of court. Black's Law Dictionary, editions 4, 5, and 6. It then gets corrupted, edited, and what have you, but it still comes under, in all the later editions, by misinformation and political correctness, and giving legal fictions greater importance than they have at law proper.
And we were talking about this the other day, just as a point for people, because I tend to think of things that people might be thinking as you're talking. So people who say that Black's Law dictionaries don't count because they are United States, but they are for reference, aren't they? And for the legalese,
yes.
Like they don't kind of count in this country in that essence, because obviously we use different, we have constitutional law, we have trust law, we have different ways to attack it, like say the common law, but So what would you say to that?
Exactly that. Black's Law is nothing more than a reference book.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a legalese reference book, but it carries the weight because it is a legally recognised book of reference.
Yeah.
Right?
I just spilled coffee all over mine.
Clumsy mare. But this is what I love about the common law, natural common law. Now get this. Now, if we're all on C, right, because they brought it all in, right, through certain acts and statutes, and we've discovered most of them, right, Shipwrecks Act, Inland Waterways Act, Road Traffic Act, Section 10, Transport Act, Companies Act, 2006, making us all artificial companies and personas, and then that we are supposed to stand as persons of significant control of a company that we didn't know existed. And that's your all caps name, your Mr. all caps name, your Mrs. Mixed name, your whatever it is. And this is how we beat them now. Things taken or captured by pirates or robbers do not change their ownership. So if you've had your house stolen by the council, you can now claim it back.
Yeah, and there's because a lot of that happening, isn't there?
Loads of it, because they're absolutely stuck now. They are getting, and the problem with our courts is they're all in the same boat. They've all got DUNS numbers. There is no common law. There is no natural law. We have been moved, all of us, officially to the sea.
Yeah.
Right? So it's now down to us, peeps. And that's it.
Yeah.
What I've done is, what I want like you to do, Carls, is before we do the void order, let's do the new council tax documents for fun. Okay? So if you can read the new ones out.
Yeah.
This is what I'll be doing. So what I'm recommending now, if you haven't paid your council tax, or you're still paying your council tax, we now issue these documents fully. So I'm going to let Carly take over from here while I have a wet of my coffee. So as you can clearly see, what we all need to be doing now is sending these documents straight into the council's chief executive officer, and he is now going to be removed. And the fact is, this is going to be huge. So if you want to read this out, and we've just filled this in now, this is using fantastic new case law that we've discovered.
Okay, so I just want to say as well, it is a little jumbled because I've copied and pasted it so that we can remove personal details. So the notices don't actually look like this, but the details there anyway, and that's the important thing to get over. So subject fiduciary obligation in law, illegal conversion, jurisdictional breach under administrative admiralty doctrine, estoppel by concealment of material facts, notice and declaration, a living woman sui juris and standing in natural law. Hereby give lawful notice to the Chief Executive Officer, insert council here, an incorporated body corporate under the Local Government Act 1888, that fiduciary duties and obligations are binding on all senior officers acting in any capacity of trust toward the public and natural persons within the country limits. It is alleged that the council officers have participated in acts amounting to illegal conversion and breach of trust, operating under an administrative admiralty doctrine jurisdiction without lawful authority, contract, or fully informed consent. Fiduciary duty and jurisdiction under common law, no public officer may convert or misrepresent the standing of a natural man or woman into a commercial or quasi-personam entity, nor derive financial benefit from assumed jurisdictions foreign to natural law. Where administrative actions rely upon presumed consent through legal fictions, such substitutions are null ab initio, as they breach fiduciary responsibilities and violate the principle that fraud destroys all when it touches fraud's amina carumpit. A legal fiction is bound by legislation. A man or woman is not. Fiction is fiction ad infinitum. Fraud is fraud ad infinitum. Contract law and estoppel. The principle in contract law is clear. Failure to disclose or reverse or reveal essential material facts at the time of forming any agreement constitutes concealment by omission and thus creates grounds for estoppel, as held in Lawview v. Palazzo. Failure to reveal the material facts of a license or any agreement is ground for estoppel. This principle applies universally. Where one party withholds crucial information or misrepresents the nature and extent of an agreement or license, thereby preventing the other party from giving fully informed consent. Applied here, any administrative body or corporate entity, including here Wakefield Council, that fails to disclose the true jurisdictional nature of its claimed authority, whether under statutory licence, administrative doctrine, or presumed contractual agreement, commits a breach of fiduciary duty and is estopped from asserting that authority against a natural sui juris woman or man. The equitable maxim therefore stands. He who comes into equity must come with clean hands. Concealment of material facts vitiates consent and extinguishes jurisdiction. Statutory context. Local Government Finance Act 1992, particularly sections 34, 35 and 50, applies to commercial hereditaments, not to private domicile property. Any attempt to extend that statutory reach constitutes unlawful conversion. Local Government Act 1888, section 79, 1 to 3 provides that wherever county council is incorporated, all duties and liabilities of the inhabitants of a county shall become the duties and liabilities of the council of such county. The incorporated here Wakefield Council therefore bears full liability for any acts or omissions committed in the council's name. Social Security Administration Act 1992, section 187, confirms that no assignment or charge may be made on benefits, rendering all deductions or recoveries from benefit sources ultra vires. Hierarchy of laws and maxims: natural law, jus naturel, common law, lex terra, statutory law, administrative or corporate. Bylaw and policy instruments. Where statutory obligations infringe natural or common law rights without consent, they are under the maxim lex injusta, non est lex. An unjust law is not law. Archibald 2025, reference as detailed in Archibald Criminal Pleading 2025 Part 4, Chapter 6, 214 to 219, para 612, blah, blah, blah. Misuse of administrative or presumed jurisdiction through misrepresentation of legal identity constitutes illegal conversion and amounts to the use of fraudulent instruments in public administration. Proceedings initiated by a fictitious plaintiff or under corporate presumption without disclosure are deemed unlawful and contemptuous of proper jurisdiction, case authority, Bucks Magistrates Court, Bucks Magistrate Court case number blah, blah, blah. Refunded ordered 1.1 million following identification of misapplied council tax liability by administrative presumption. The case is persuasive of maladministration and wrongful enrichment arising from liability instruments void ab initio, administrative failure and council tax handbook, council's own handbook. That's the funny part. Pages 231 to 234 confirms that Form A required to draw up a liability order were removed from law on the 1st of October 2003. All subsequent orders found that form are void. Further points: serious procedural flaws acknowledged by the Court of Appeal and High Court 2003 to 2012, lack of records breaches Article 6 ECHR protecting citizen civil rights, enforcement under repealed or non-existent instruments is jurisdictionally defective. Remedies and demands: immediate review of all council actions undertaken against the undersigned under any presumed administrative or admiralty style jurisdiction, written admission of fiduciary liability under Section 79 Local Government Act 1888, full refund of all monies unlawfully taken or converted, 1.1 million per Bucks Magistrates precedent, statement of lawful basis for any legal fiction or vessel entity, presumption asserted without consent or contract. Formal correction of all records and cessation of administrative presumption against the undersigned's natural lawful standing. If no response is received within 21 days, an estoppel in perpetuity shall stand under quod contra legem fit pro infecto habito. What is done contrary to law is considered as not done. Yeah.
Yep. And then it goes on, and I've got all the acts and statutes and everything else there. You've also got the case law and everything else of low blue B for us, and it just goes on. All the maxims are in there. And then if you want to bring up the DSAR,
yeah,
you send this with this letter. So you send the DSAR with this letter.
yeah. And as I say, the actual documents aren't all squished like this. It's just because I quickly copied and pasted them, so we could read them out without any personal details on them. Was it personal?
So these are all being sent now, guys. These are all in the works, being physically demanded and sent to councils up and down this country. So it's now time to get our money back from these fraudulent councils. They're all incorporated of the sea. It's incredibly simple, but pathetically difficult what they've done, because we've given people our trust to ensure that they work for the betterment of us. And all they've done is work for the betterment of themselves.
Yeah, the shareholders.
So if you wouldn't,
but wondering why the country is fucked, it's because, you know, it's all about profit.
But when you think that it's 78% tax on, well, it's 78% tax on your gas and electricity bill, 5% VAT, so you've got 82% of tax just on fundamentals. Never mind your shopping bill. How can a bottle of tomato soup sauce go up from 99 pence to £3.50 in 2 years or 3 years? The inflation of this country is at a non-accessible level. It cannot continue. It will collapse.
That's a definite. And obviously all orchestrated completely, because always banking crashes goes with wars, and we are in a war. A war on consciousness, a war on the spirit, and
they're panicking. They know full well now, and this is what they're trying to push us. What will break us? What will get us off our ass in front of the cup of tea, out of the cup of tea, off the telly, and get to the streets to start arresting everybody? This is what they want. If we do this lawfully, under common law, under natural law, there's not a thing they can do, because they are vessels and constricts under license by the United Kingdom or Great Britain Corporation, or one of many others that they've set up.
Yeah.
Right? Parliament flies a Union Jack. It's the sea. So off we go, Carl. If you read this DSAR, this is brilliant. Even if I do say so myself.
Again, do kind of forgive the squashed up nature of it. So data subject access request, DSAR, under UK GDPR and Data Protection Act 2018, including court jurisdiction, judges, bonds and oaths, and permanent estoppel notice. Dear Data Protection Officer, your full name, hereby submit a formal data subject access request pursuant to UK GDPR and the Data Protection Act 2018, requesting full disclosure of all personal data and related information held concerning me, specifically connected to all enforcement jurisdictional claims and legal actions applied under the Administrative Admiralty Maritime Doctrine. Court used and jurisdiction. It is understood that the County Court at Wakefield administers civil enforcement relating to me. It normally stands in common law jurisdiction. However, the council and courts are presumed to operate under an Administrative Admiralty Maritime Doctrine jurisdiction, which appropriately applies to corporate entities and legal fictions, not to natural persons subject to common law jus naturel. Judges' names, bonds and oaths in accordance with the council's fiduciary obligations to uphold natural common law principles and the sovereignty of its inhabitants. I demand full disclosure of the names of all judges, magistrates and or officers presiding over cases involving me, copies of all bonds, sureties or financial guarantees securing the performance and good faith of such judicial officers, full disclosure of the judicial oath or affirmation each judge or magistrate has taken, specifically ensuring adherence to, let me just scroll this down, to natural common law principles and respect for the sovereignty of living persons. This information is necessary to verify the lawful exercise of jurisdiction and safeguard the rights of natural persons against unauthorised or unlawful administrative maritime governance. Council authority and jurisdictional conflict. The council possessing both a VAT number and a DUNS registration number functions as a commercial corporation acting beyond natural common law and just natural jurisdiction when bringing claims against living men and women. Relevant legal maxims apply. Just natural es lex aeterna. Natural law is eternal law. A legal fiction is bound by legislation and statutory duties. A man is not. Legal fiction is legal fraud. Fraud vitiates all it touches. Fros amina corrupt it. Any claim or enforcement brought under administrative admiralty maritime doctrine without explicit written consent or contract from an actual person is unlawful, ultra vires, and void ab initio. Data requested. Please provide all relevant data, records, and communications about me, including but not limited to details and documents of enforcement actions, council tax claims, or other statutory claims made under the administrative admiralty maritime doctrine. Any contracts, consents, or authorisations purporting to confer jurisdiction or authority over me, records related to any administrative categorisation as ship's personam or quasi-identity vessel, information on automated decisions, profiling, and third-party data sharing connected to these matters. The lawful basis for processing and enforcement, referencing my personal data, permanent estoppel notice under equitable doctrine, natural law, and established UK case authority, Wakefield Metropolitan District Council, and all related judicial bodies are placed under permanent estoppel from asserting jurisdiction, authority, or enforcing claims over any natural person with this jurisdiction, including myself, until legitimate elections have installed living men and women as bona fide public officers and councillors. All incorporated or corporate persons acting without democratic mandate cease holding office or exercising authority. No further assertions of jurisdiction based on administrative admiralty maritime doctrine are made against natural persons without explicit signed contracts. This estoppel is supported by case law, including Central London Property Trust v High Trees House KB 130 and Lobu v Prazzo 48. Cal at 2D 346348, 1941, consistent with principles affirmed by the Bill of Rights and treason statutes regarding lawful authority. Please acknowledge receipt of this request promptly and provide the requested data within the statutory period of 1 calendar month. Should you require identity, proof, or clarification, contact me by the details above. Thank you for your urgent cooperation. Yada yada.
Right, so there it is, guys. That is hopefully now making it very clear that by the illegal conversion of us into quasi-identity vessels or persona vessels, it is illegal conversion. The council cannot bring a claim under legislation against the man, hence they have to illegally convert you. Everything that is registered has been illegally converted. It is only for a public record. By the illegal conversion of registration, i.e. your car, your house, anything, you are now illegally, perversely registered as a personam or quasi-identity. The police cannot arrest you. They cannot bring charges under acts or statutes. They cannot lock you up. They are now acting under the Terrorism Act, Article 1, political agenda. They are forcing, by force, threat, coercion, arrests that they cannot make under the PACE Act. It's an act. It has no legitimacy over the natural man. None. The police force asked them, are you under licence? Because who licenses them? The council. Yeah. Case laws again. There it is. Two of them. Trust v High Trees House and Low Blue and Pizzat, what is it? Pozzeras?
Palazzo sounds
Palazzos, whatever
Italiano.
it, Palazzos, right? Case law. Without legally telling you that they're a licensed corporation, they can go no further. It is fraud.
Yeah.
The judges, fraud.
Concealment, yeah.
Concealing important information. All the people that now have been arrested and sent to jail for nothing can now be released. You send a void order and a challenge to the judge's jurisdiction, and you want to claim off his bond for all the family members, for all the friends.
Well, and this is it. You know, the judge is acting as surety until you turn up, isn't it? They get a bonus if you turn up, you said in the last I didn't realise that.
Yeah. And not only that, who do you think gets the... I mean, if it's a fictitious plaintiff, right, how can they award for damages for a fictitious plaintiff? Claimant's damages, 2.5 grand or 150 quid or 250 quid. Who do we think that gets paid to? It's the judge's bonus.
Yeah.
Right? They're stood in their own cause. Cannot do it. Maxim of law. The judge who does a contrary thing. It is treason. This is what is so important now, guys. Right? This is now got to be understood by everybody. That we are in a battle of our lives here, because all of this nonsense is by illegal conversion of the man of the land onto the sea.
Yeah.
Personam fiction.
And I think as well, it is important about recoupment and reclaiming, you know, in that financial sense. And you can do that, you know, via the fiduciary, like utilising the securities. And basically it's like gap in it, it's accounting. And I'm well aware of those angles. And we're going to be speaking to people about that on the podcast very, very, very soon. But people will say about constitutional law, won't they, Robin? Like, oh, what, like we said, what are you trying to pull constitutional stuff for in a bar court? But they're not even following their own rules. This is about, you know, tying them up in their own knots. Like this is literally how corrupt it is now. So this stuff is key. It's important. It is.
It's not only that, but the judge ought to have known and should have known his own duties and jurisdiction and his own limits to that jurisdiction.
Yeah, they know because they've got a high duty of care.
And the treason that they stand in to make a profit, and it's profiteering by piracy. Right? Hence the maxim. Right? The judges are in piracy. It's as simple as that. Profiteering. They are literally in full knowledge, and this is what has got to get out to the people. It is not you that is studying that doc. It is the paperwork, the administrative documents. But because you go there and claim the name, you idiots, right? And it's mainly your surname, that you now stand as a surety for that bond. It's all guilt, it's all bonds, it's fraud.
Yeah, exactly.
Because common law is above statutory law. Now what Parliament's trying to do is make statutory law above all laws. Well, off Parliament doesn't stand above common law. It doesn't stand above natural law, God's law. Statutory law is only for legal fictions, corporations, personams, quasims. You have to have my written consent, my permission to illegally or to convert me into an interface system where we can speak of the same language. And that's all it is. If you want to base it down to computer speak, it's I'm stood on this side at Grand Canyon, looking down at your side of the Grand Canyon, and we can't speak because we're too far apart and we're not in the same jurisdiction. But here we go now. They fetch me down to their level as a quasi or personam, we can now interface and swap codes.
Yeah.
But as we don't know that, we're obviously misled, missold.
Yeah.
The information's not correct, and it's done under concealment and perversion. So if you fetch the next one up, Spadge. So once they don't respond to this,
yeah. Which one are we on now?
Into the next one should
the charges, the indictment.
Yeah, the changes. It's changes into that should meet charges.
Oh. Yeah.
And then you've got the indictment afterwards.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to read this one out?
Yeah, please, love.
Okay. So, enforcement under illegal administrative admiralty maritime doctrine jurisdiction, misconduct in public office, criminal liability for enforcement actions, and jurisdictional abuse. I sue juris natural woman standing in just naturel and just in rem put on notice all persons responsible for the enforcement of council tax and the hiring of courtrooms and magistrates to conduct business under an illegally converted jurisdiction purporting to arise from the administrative admiralty maritime doctrine. The alleged enforcement is conducted by presumed authority and presumed consent alone, resulting in compelled performance under a false presumption of obligation that amounts in law to servitude and slavery by fraud through illegal conversion. Illegal conversion of identity and jurisdiction as per Archibald 2025, such illegal conversions of the personam or quasi-identity vessel without knowledge, contract or consent amount to the use of false instruments constituting fraud and misconduct in public office. The council tax officers and chief executive, along with any involved magistrates, act outside lawful jurisdiction by applying maritime doctrine where only land jurisdiction should prevail. Misconduct in public office and public outrage. The offence of misconduct in public office arises here as the council and officers are not operating under lawful public office jurisdiction, but under an unlawful maritime admiralty doctrine usurpation. Well, the act of issuing black stamp orders and enforcing powers is ultra vires and void ab initio. Such actions constitute maladministration, misfeasance, nonfeasance, malfeasance, and dissemination of misinformation to the public. Public outrage is warranted where officers impersonate lawful authority to the detriment of the rights of natural people. Latin maxims and legal principles. A legal fiction is bound by legislation and statutory duties. A man is not a legal fiction. A legal fiction is fraud, and fraud vitiates all that it touches.
Legal fiction is bound by legislation. Duty, a man is not. Legal fiction is legal fraud. Fraud vitiates all it touches. Then there's obviously the crumpet word. Jurisdiction invalidates a case law, the council, the court, application of administrative admiralty maritime doctrine is jurisdictional defective, as it is a foreign law applying to a fictional corporation identity or entity, not persons, not natural persons, nor persons of the land. This issuance of black stamp order of a black stamp orders outside of lawful land jurisdiction is ultra vires and void ab initio. In the case law that we both like, Laloo.
Yeah. Laloo boo.
There you go. I'll let you go from there. Then
in Low Boo v. I think I found my feet now. In Low Boo v. Perazzo, the court held failure to reveal the material facts of a license or any agreement is ground for a stop. This principle arises directly to the failure of the council and courts to disclose the true nature of their presumed admiralty jurisdiction or obtained informed consent, criminal and statutory violations. This unlawful jurisdictional conversion infringes the Treason Act 1352 for usurping lawful authority and subverting the Bill of Rights and lawful governance, the Bill of Rights 1689 and Coronation Oath Act, affirming sovereign supremacy and lawful office. The Supremacy Acts 1559 and Premonitory Acts of 1351 and 1392 prohibiting foreign church or state jurisdiction usurpation. acts as foreign state or corporate law unlawfully applied within the United Kingdom jurisdiction, replacing natural law, common law protections, demands for immediate correction and enforcement, immediate cessation of all enforcement actions and coercive measures issued and executed under the presumption of administrative admiralty maritime doctrine jurisdiction. Acknowledgement that black stamp orders and liability orders issued under such presumptions are null and void ab initio. Disclosure of any contracts, licenses, or consents purportedly supporting the claim of maritime jurisdiction over natural persons without informed consent. Immediate initiation of criminal investigations and prosecution of all officers, council tax officials, executives, and judicial parties complicit in these jurisdictional usurpations and misconduct in public office. Full restitution and remedy of harm suffered by natural persons subjected to these fraudulent administrative actions. Right. So juris natural woman just natural just in rem.
So there you go. That's the start of your charge sheet. That's giving them fair warning that we're going for them now. Right, and then we bring in, if you want to bring in the indictments badge.
All natural persons within the Wakefield Council, etc., Chief Executive Officer, Police and Crime Commissioner, all incorporated councillors, relevant oversight and prosecutorial authorities. So we've got full indictment and demand for repayment and removal of illegitimate officers on behalf of every natural man and woman within the Wakefield Council jurisdiction and under the authority of natural law and the common law of England and Wales. This notice indicts and demands immediate compliance as follows. All monies collected, retained or accounted for by Wakefield Council under presumed administrative admiralty maritime doctrine jurisdiction, including council tax and related levies, must be repaid in full within 48 hours of this notice. Such monies were collected unlawfully by presumed jurisdiction and legal fiction without informed consent. Immediate removal is demanded of all council officers, officials, tax collectors, and the chief executive responsible for these unlawful actions and illegal conversions. All incorporated councillors not properly elected or voted for by the natural constituency of Wakefield's inhabitants are to be removed from office without delay. Removal of all police and crime commissioners who hold office without lawful democratic mandate or vote as per recent High Court ruling, see West Midlands PCC Judicial Review, High Court 2024. The state issues personam identity documents only to legal fictions or incorporated entities. It does not issue such to natural persons. The council and courts operate solely under presumed administrative admiralty maritime doctrine jurisdiction, which applies only to fictitious entity corporations and quasi-identity vessels, not to living natural persons. Archibald Criminal Pleading Evidence and Practice 2025, 214 to 219, paragraph 6 to 121 to 6 to 138. Legal Evidence and Practice 2025, 214 to 219, etc. and so on. Legal maxims applicable. A legal fiction is bound by legislation and statutory duties. Man is not. Legal fiction is legal fraud. Fraud vitiates all it touches. Force, amina, corrumpit. Hiring of courtrooms, magistrates and issuance of black stamp liability orders outside lawful jurisdiction are ultra vires and void ab initio. Officers who enforce jurisdictional conversion from landlord to sea admiralty doctrine without contract or consent are guilty of misconduct in public office and misinformation. For failure to disclose material jurisdictional facts engages estoppel under Lobu v. Parazzo, etc. Failure to reveal the material facts of a license or any agreement is ground for estoppel. This unlawful jurisdictional usurpation breaches Treason Act 1352, Bill of Rights 1689, and the Coronation Oath Act, Supremacy of Lawful Governance, Supremacy Act 1559, and the Premonitory Acts 1351 and 1392 prohibit foreign jurisdiction usurpation. Application of foreign maritime law in place of common law amounts to treason and sovereignty breach. Therefore, immediate demands are cessation of all enforcement under presumed maritime doctrine jurisdiction, declaration void of all black stamp and liability orders, disclosure of contracts, consents allegedly authorising maritime jurisdiction over natural persons without informed consent, criminal investigations and prosecution of all complicit officers, executives and judicial parties. public transparency, remedial action, and restitution by order of all natural sovereign persons within Wakefield, signed sui juris, etc. So on, criminal pleading evidence acts, and so on and so forth.
What you might find interesting there, and what I found very, very interesting when I was doing this document, is if you scroll it back up, Kaz, the PCCSs are void.
Yeah.
They've never been truly elected because only the quasim votes, which I've been saying for long enough.
Yeah.
Right? The persona votes only. So therefore, the Police and Crimes Commissioner with no true sovereign mandate cannot be in place. Therefore, any criminal act that the PCCS claims is now void, ab initio. And there's a High Court ruling on it. Yeah. And these are supposed to be public officers that are supposed to accept criticism and whatever, that are now running people into court for people calling them out for criminality.
Yeah,
There's one guy at the minute, we all know him, won't name him at the minute, because I don't, that's in prison by a magistrate for the alleged allegation that he's harassed a PCS, Police and Crimes Commissioner. Right? Well, you can't harass a public officer. So the magistrate now, who's ordered that without signing for it, issued it under a black stamp, has now just put a noose round his own neck. The PSC that's there at the moment has now put a noose round her neck for illegal conversion, fraud. You cannot bring a claim of harassment by a public official. But because the courts now are so far out of whack that they think that they can get away with this nonsense, here it all is to make it simple as I can for people to get their heads round.
Yeah.
For it to be a true court of law, it has to be a red wax seal of the imperial crown. All gone. Yeah. There is not one. It cannot be a red stamp. It cannot be a black stamp. It must be a red wax seal. And I don't care what Parliament says. Parliament has no jurisdiction on land. It is a sea vessel only. It cannot bring any act of statute for land. That's why all the acts and statutes are sea-based. It is to illegally convert us into personas, quasims, to literally run roughshod over all of our land-based laws and God laws. And here it is. Yeah. This is the low-hanging fruit. This is the simple stuff of it. The councils now have to pay back everybody's council tax. Everybody's. We've got a massive case law. 1.1 million was returned in Bucks County.
Yeah.
And there's loads of others. It just needs exposing.
Do you, this is a question some people might ask, and I think that they do. But again, I've no direct evidence of that, but these judges, they know what they're doing.
Of course they do. You can't become a judge under acts and statutes.
You can't be trained. Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same with barristers. They all know they're working for a foreign jurisdiction. Every judge is registered. Listen, when I went to that case in at Grimsby that we're going to be talking about in a minute, literally the barrister told me he was a member of the Gray's Inn. And all barristers are members of the Gray's Inn. Solicitors are members of the Lincoln's Inn.
Yeah.
Now, that's a foreign state under commerce, the sea. That's it. Yeah. So how he's in the wrong jurisdiction? He cannot come and bring a charge under an act or statute, legislation, against the man. So they're there by illegal conversion. Every barrister, every solicitor. There are no Crown agents. We've destroyed that myth to death. They're now admitting they are criminal prosecution barristers only. Well, you're in wrong jurisdiction, old cock. You can't bring a claim against a man. And you certainly can't charge him under an act or statute or any legislation. None.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you still there?
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to let that sit in. I'm just literally trying to let that sink in. So when the police turn up and all you need to do is say, right, listen, I know you're under license, you've no jurisdiction, you're here on a water-based, you are a private corporation, you've no jurisdiction, fuck off. Right, I'm the natural man, I am not the persona, the quasim, or any other that nonsense that you want to check here. I'm not under administrative admiralty jurisdiction. I'm under God's law, Martin's law. That's natural law to me and thee. I'm under natural with an E and natural law. Any act or statute has no jurisdiction above me, beyond me, or through me. So move on. You have no authority here. You can't come and repossess a house because it's being done by fraud. You can't assist a bailiff. But now we can see that they're assisting bailiffs. Because why? Because the bailiff and the police are in the same jurisdiction. They're all water-based. They're all sea-based. It's fraud upon fraud upon fraud. Parliament itself now is caught in fraud. The Privy Council is caught in fraud. The Supreme Court caught in fraud.
Yeah.
Royal Court of Justice caught in fraud. They have sent, and I've got it, and I'm going to display it on one of our next conversations with a few other people. We've got it from the Royal Courts of Justice that they will not stamp the void orders. And they have to under Part 70 of the CPR rules. Under void order doctrine. So, again, they are breaching their own rules to keep themselves out of the gallows. It's treason. Beyond treason, beyond treason. It is high treason as to the common law of uttering, common law of fraud. Of fraud.
Yeah.
Right? All these are still in force. Every police officer now needs to be extremely concerned because it's their houses, their pensions, their lives that they are now putting on the line. And they can't arrest anybody. They are now going to get smashed, and everybody that's had any interaction with a police officer or an enforcement officer for the state must now sue them personally and the corporate fiction that brought the claim, that allowed these criminals to bring the claim of arrest. The inspectors that are issuing arrest warrants with no signatures, no authority, only under legislative acts. Sorry, can't be used. Cannot be used. It is only our ignorance that we've allowed this to happen. And the fact that when you look at the Companies Act, how many sections? And why bury the section 790 LQ where it proves we've all been illegally converted? And why bring that in? And then attach it to the 1707 document of the Cestui Trust that states that brought before the court will presume that man dead, lost at sea. What? That's how they've done it all. They put us all as trust vessels, as the Quasim, 1666 trust.
Yeah.
And all this is, there is no massive trust per se. It is nothing more than an insurance document to pay for our everything. So that's what we've got to start claiming now from the council, especially the Section 151 officer. You now have betrayed the people. I am entitled to my trust.
Yeah.
It is in the name of me, and it was made with my weight in gold or other facilitator, right? I am now claiming my trust. It's as simple as that. I now am the beneficiary of that trust. You will now disclose every bit of the information, what you have been taking monies out for. We remove ourselves from the Crown Office, the Chief Registrar's office. We cash in all of the bond certificates, your birth certificate, your driving licence. We demand our proper licences back, not these fictions, quasims, personas. Right? It is a joke now.
It is that. It is that, lad.
You know what I mean? We cannot afford to keep, because we're paying too much out. We've never minded paying for the benefit of our communities. We don't mind paying a bit of tax. We don't mind paying a bit of this and a bit of that. We have one of the greatest donation style nations going. But when we're all sat back watching kids starve, I draw the line. When we're all sat back and watching old people freeze to death, and we sat back, I draw the line. When we're now getting political prisoners under fake legislation, usurping the Bill of Rights, usurping our sovereignty, superiority by a fake parliament. It is in the laws of the sea. It is corrupt when people are getting dragged out by corporations from their homes because there's no contract there. It's all been built on fraud. In a personam by the Bar-Gill presumption method. It's disgraceful. And everybody sat on their arse like, oh my God, it might be me next, it might be me. I don't want to do 6 months in prison. Right? We can't stand this anymore. There has to become a breaking point. And the breaking point, I think, is about here. Because I'm not going to have another Christmas where I'm going to watch people starve. People freeze. It now has to change.
Yeah.
Seriously has to change. And everybody getting their council tax, getting all their taxation back, I think is a start. And this is what they're panicking about now. Right?
Yeah.
We go and arrest them now. I'm not talking mass, this, that, and the other. I'm talking the lawful route of, no, you're outside the jurisdiction. You cannot interface with me. You're now under arrest. I'm superior to you. You have now just breached the superior maxims in law.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are not allowed on my streets. This is not. Your vessel is not a warship. It's an illegal conversion. I am not prize or bounty. It's absolutely mental.
It is mental. It's very dark, it's very deep, and it's very mental indeed. So the void order, again, do forgive it being a little bit jumbled up. The original notice, of course, isn't that, but right. So breach of these fiduciary duties amounts to judicial misconduct, punishment and invalidation of court orders aligned with the principles articulated in the Guide to Judicial Conduct 2023 and Archibald 2025. 18, two states, two jurisdictions, and the inviolability of natural law. See Annex 3 also. The United Kingdom's constitutional framework recognises dualism wherein international law and domestic law occupy separate independent spheres, with domestic may incorporate international law into its internal system only through explicit legislation. Roger Masterman, 2021. The principle of jurisdictional exclusivity maintains that two distinct jurisdictions or states cannot simultaneously operate with equal authority over the same sovereign territory or person. This is fundamental to avoiding conflicts of law and ensuring orderly justice. The constitutional doctrine asserts that the coexistence of commercial administrative admiralty jurisdiction alongside constitutional common law jurisdiction creates an why can't I say that word? Irreconcilable legal conflict. Such dual jurisdiction without clear supremacy infringes upon the natural law sovereignty of living persons who cannot be subject to contradictory legal claims simultaneously. The royal courts have emphasised that domestic law must recognise the ultimate legislative authority, Parliament, and that any foreign or fictitious legal constructs acting without constitutional sanction lack enforceability within the UK sovereign space. 19. Fraud, legislation, and nullity of improper claims. Legislation, while binding upon legal fictions such as corporate entities, cannot override the natural rights and sovereignty of living persons without explicit voluntary consent. Claims founded on legislation that attempt to convert living persons into legal persons or quasi-identities without consent are inherently fraudulent. This fraud is fraud ab infinitum, a principle reiterating that fraud at its origins vitiates all subsequent acts and proceedings. Archibald, 2025, Legal Dictionaries. Such fraudulent claims lack jurisdiction, violate due process, and must be declared null and void. Courts have no authority to enforce claims violating constitutional protections or the Bill of Rights. 1688/9, under which no fines or forfeitures may be imposed without lawful conviction. Article 11. 20. Summary and enforcement. This comprehensive declaration asserts that all judicial acts, orders and proceedings under administrative, admiralty, commercial jurisdiction that purport to bind sovereign living persons are void ab initio, non-negotiable, no commercial activity. All rights reserved, The natural law, inviolability of the sovereign individual and the constitutional supremacy of parliamentary statutes such as the Bill of Rights 1688/9 establish the nullity of all improper claims and judicial misconduct. Formal service of this void order to relevant courts and authorities demands immediate cessation of all enforcement and restitution of lawful jurisdictional order. The sovereign governed hereby reserves all rights to seek lawful remedy and redress through recognised constitutional and common law mechanisms. 21. Declaration of void order, solicitor duty, court jurisdiction and demand for enforcement by superior courts. Any and all orders, rulings, or decisions issued by the Grimsby and Cleethorpes Magistrates Courts, deep joy those guys, operating strictly as an administrative admiralty doctrine commerce court without lawful jurisdiction, consent or authority over the living woman, sui juris, just naturel, just in rem, are declared void ab initio and without any lawful effect. The authorised courts empowered to issue, uphold and enforce the nullity of such fraudulent orders are the High Court of Justice, including the Foreign Press Section, with jurisdiction over admiralty and administrative tribunal matters, the Admiralty Court, limited strictly to maritime jurisdiction, the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom as the ultimate guardian of constitutional supremacy. Such orders violate constitutional and common law protections, including the Treason Act 1351, criminalising usurpation and or lawful assumption of judicial power. Breaches of the Bill of Rights 1688/9 and the Coronation Oath Acts that bind judicial officers to uphold lawful governance. Breaches result in loss of judicial immunity and criminal liability, fundamental maxims of natural law, etc. and so on. So this document obviously is 11 pages long, so we're not going to read the whole thing out, but so we've just kind of skipped to the end. But what we will do is we will put it up so you can download it for free to read in your own time, because the law in this is clear. And as Robin Hood has put it together, the devil is in the detail, and it is how we thread it and piece it together, and it's been done for you. So we've just skipped towards the end. Obviously, we're talking about the individual case where the barrister declared that he works for the Gray's Inn Bar Guild, a professional legal guild that functions without a sovereign jurisdiction of a natural person. So they've admitted that. We're talking about the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights again. These were dismissed and saying they were irrelevant to the court's jurisdiction and proceedings. Well, in the bar court, it will be, because it's all fraud. So we know this. If we kind of just jump down to the end here, I mean, there's an important word in there, isn't there, which is usufruct, which is using the kind of the fruits of another, isn't it? I can't remember. Can you remember the exact definition of usufruct? It's basically kind of taking the profits off someone to enhance your own gain, isn't it, ultimately?
Yeah, it's basically self-gain. It basically is to give yourself a gain. It's to make gain off somebody else, which again is a breach of maxims of law.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Law should not be there to make money. Law is there. This is why there is no charge to the courts. The courts can't charge us any money. But because all the courts are now under administrative admiralty jurisdiction, they now can charge money because it's commerce. They're in commerce. And that's a breach of law. To no one shall we sell, deny, or delay justice. That means you don't pay the courts.
And I've just got it up on my phone just to clarify. Definition of usufruct. Usufruct is a legal right to use and enjoy the benefits of someone else's property without owning it. So that's exactly what we're under. As long as the property itself isn't damaged or destroyed. Use this from the word use, and fructus, fruit or profit. You know, they're profiting from our fruits equitably, which belong to us. We are the holder in due course of most instruments, or all instruments that we sign. Anyway, and we've got some common law maxims for people to kind of read. It is a long document, so we were going to read the whole thing out, but obviously it's better if you can all read it in your own time, and it will be put down below as a free link to be able to download it. And take your time.
And there's also, what you've got to understand is, I mean, I'm glad you've stopped on this page, is what we've got to understand is, furthermore, under Article 6 of the Charter of the International Military Tribunal, London Agreement, such proceedings amount to an act of war against the respondent's sovereignty.
Yeah.
And that's an international law.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got them now on absolutely everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's there, isn't it? You know, it's there in black and white, in it. That's like a nice point to kind of finish it on, because there you go. It's summarised quite nicely there with all of it. Usufruct, indeed. Void orders and contempt, and the fact that they're using. I mean, do you want to just tell people, you know, what exactly that black stamp is, because that may have gone over people's heads if they haven't watched our previous podcast.
Yeah, the black stamp is nothing. It's a con. It's a fraud, because the black stamp without the red seal of the imperial crown is absolutely worthless. Right? It's a fraudulent stamp that is only used by the Lord of the Sea. Well, we're on land, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't even work here. It costs £60 per stamped document from the Royal Courts of Justice. Yeah. Look it up.
And it's just an absolute criminal mafia, isn't it? Because at this point, I could go and buy a black stamp and set myself up as a company and go around defrauding everybody, but I'd soon be locked up in prison or...
Correct. And so what we need to do is basically get a court du jour together and then literally overrule them with the red true stamp. Seal. End of. Right? They're done. Mm-hmm. It is now, we've got to literally just understand that anything, the police, this is why the police recognise them, because they're of the same jurisdiction. The police have no authority, none. They're not police officers as we used to remember them. They don't work for the king. They don't work for the state, as in the true nation. They work in commerce. That's why they recognise their stamp. It is not a stamp of law. It is a stamp of fraudulent admiralty doctrine upon the land. It's piracy.
Yeah.
Short and simple. It's used for robbery.
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 Yeah, exactly.
So
It's
again, so if you've had your house stolen, you've had your house stolen by a black seal, a black stamp, now is the time to make the claim and demand your house back. Because it's fraud on top of fraud. And you make it to the government. You make it to Charlie Boy. Simple. Yeah. Parliament must disclose its sovereignty. Hasn't got any. It's water. It's corporate sovereignty.
Yeah.
It's nonsense now. I've given you every bit of truth that you need. What I haven't give you is a detail from 1707 all the way to present day of every act which has been deliberately set to put us onto the sea, because acts and legislation are nothing to do with me and you. Nothing. Yeah. Therefore, the legal fictions.
Yeah.
And what we've allowed is the con. This is the long game. It's the long con. It's taken them 300 years. But they've done it. And we are so ignorant of the rule of law that we've let the law slip by. There's not one law court in England. We've just seen it there where the Supreme Court upholds the Commonwealth, the Constitution. So why does the Supreme Court have a Duns number?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, why is every parliamentary office under Duns? Why are they all incorporated? Because they're all of the sea. The black stamp is worthless. There's no point arguing with coppers. None. Go away, you're in the wrong jurisdiction. If you don't go, we will arrest you. We will come to your house and drag you out in the middle of the night. We will have a detention centre where we will put you now. Right? We have to, and it's only done by numbers. Yeah. If we got, look, apparently 1 to 3 million literally went down to see somebody on Sunday a few weeks ago. Where are they? Where are they? Why are we allowing our men to be locked up, forced out of their homes because of a black administrative stamp that has no jurisdiction?
Crazy.
But we're doing it. We're letting as grannies freeze to death. We're letting next door neighbours' kids starve to death. For what? Also, we can go, oh, well, we're all right, Jack. Where do you think the Union Jack come from? I'm all right, Jack. And until we come together and go, absolutely no more, Parliament is done, you're out, you're caught. It's all treasonous. Every judge now needs to be careful. The Treasons Act is there. Common law uttering is akin to high treason. The usurpation of the Bill of Rights is high treason. You can't usurp it. The government have openly admitted they went into the Bill of Rights in 1888, 1948, and removed words, meanings, and paragraphs in a clean-up. Well, you can't touch it. You cannot usurp or alter a word in any of the documents. You just need to look it up. Every document states in perpetuity forever. What does that mean? What does it mean? It means forever. It can't run out. Parliament does not have the authority to remove parts, sections, act, any of it. They can't put legislations on it. Sod off, it's two jurisdictions. Fraud, A, B, infinitum. A legal fiction cannot touch the works of man. Yeah. Bye-bye, Parliament. Bye-bye, police force. And we're not trying to bring it down. We want to bring it back into
line.
Public line. You work for us. We don't care you don't like being slaves. Stop fucking going for it then. Go do something else. But we want people that are prepared to serve and look after the public interest, not just keep bending us over and raping us.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, shall we tie
We'll
it
end
up?
there, shall we?
I think, yeah. And this nation has been well and truly bent over, but like we've said, this isn't about just one courtroom in Grimsby. This is about every man and woman who's been silenced, tricked, trapped in a system built on lies ultimately. But the veil is lifting, the paperwork is in, the remedy is in motion, and the people are waking up, let's hope anyway. So we're not stepping back. It's about standing in our own authority, because sovereignty isn't given, it's remembered, and we are remembering who we are. So please join the realm. Please share this video. The answers are in. We just need the action. So keep sharing, keep learning, keep remembering, and keep rising. And we will see you next time. Robin, thank you again so much for everything that you do. And we'll await the next update. Thanks again.
Thanks very much, guys.